In my eyes, success is all about creating a legacy and creating something that's timeless. And so the goal for my songwriting and the songs that I produce is I want to create a piece of art that can be looked upon like 100 years from now and people are still like, wow, this is relevant. Wow, this is still like moving me.
Prismologist.
I am the Topo Chico.
It's very Austin of you to drink Topo Chico here out in Houston.
In my case, being able to actually like live and support myself from music came once I, had those several 100,000 streams on Spotify. And I mean, honestly, it wasn't like living semi-comfortably until I was getting those million streams a month. And that's when the actual like recurring monthly paycheck started coming through. And I released a lot of music independently, so I got to see a large majority of my royalties rather than just, cutting off pieces of the pie and giving them to labels or marketing agents or whatever. I first picked up an instrument when I was like 6 or 7. I got a drum kit for Christmas.
Because he didn't even know how to play at the time. He was just like hitting shit, just like...
I was just banging on the drum kit for weeks with it set up in my living room. My parents hated me.
So he was upstairs and he was right by the window going towards the cul-de-sac. And so every sound he made, it was just like amplified. And sometimes he would open the window and just so it would make more noise.
They actually encouraged it even though I was just making a bunch of noise. But then I convinced them to get me drum lessons. And from then I was just getting my hands on every instrument I could. Well, about every other weekend in college, I was doing one-off shows, touring somewhere, and it was really demanding of my time because engineering school, there's so much homework, so much group work I had to do after class, and I barely had time to produce music, but I mean, I was so obsessed and in love with producing music that I was just sacrificing sleep instead. So there's so many nights where I would stay up all night, either doing homework or making music. And eventually, like, my junior year, I just decided I couldn't really do that anymore. It's exhausting. And I just knew music was my passion. And I was at this point in my career where I thought it would probably be a pretty safe bet if I moved forward with music full time.
Some of the criteria in your mind that you felt like you needed to fill before you were able to take that plunge?
I've always been concerned about my own welfare, financial security, and so I think a big part of it was budgeting and creating some sort of savings for when I do dive off the cliff and go music full time. So that gave me a sense of security, and I was a little bit more confident to do it because I was blessed enough to play some shows and save up some money. And another thing was I just was thinking about the long term. I was just thinking about how much music meant to me and how happy it made me. And I was just thinking to myself, if I want to be happy for the rest of my life, this is what I need to do. And so it was another part of creating more security for myself. I just saw the big perspective and understood what I really needed. Self-employed people, I think, I've had a lot of friends that I've seen struggle with understanding that even though you're your own boss, you still gotta work that 9 to 5 or whatever it is. It's just in a different fashion. It's a different nature. So I gotta put in the hours. Still gotta. There's many days where I don't get to work on the fun stuff, where I'm just grinding on promotion or writing lyrics. Which isn't really a grind, but sometimes it is.
Never gonna see that trace. I'm wishing I was high.
Apparently that's terrible form because I'm reaching so far on my piano, but I do what I gotta do. A bunch of creators live in this house, so we make 14 cups of coffee a day.
Sometimes I hit over 1,000 milligrams. which is not good.
No.
Upper limit's like 800 for like negative side effects.
And don't think we're bragging. We're just being very self-aware of our terrible problem. DJ's got to do laundry too. Good hygiene's important. And my washing machine's from 1985, so it still does the clicky thing when you turn the dial. I don't scoop my coffee anymore. I just look at it until it looks right. Like a savage. So there's countless hours that get put into songs before anyone even hears a snippet of it. And really it's just, all that time is just tinkering and experimenting and trying to get all these crazy ideas in my head into something tangible. And so it's just a lot of messing around. It's like just jamming out with myself like a one-man band. And it's kind of isolated most of the time. But eventually, you know, a couple hours in, several hours in, I'll have like a pretty good product, and I'll have like a good song for me should never take more than a few hours, like to get the real like structure, the catchy hook, whatever it is. And that's about the point where I start sending it off to my friends, stuff for notes, and you know, within a matter of weeks I could have a finished product. So, but the countless hours in the studio, I think a lot of it comes down to making like 100 ideas a week even. And then out of those 100 ideas, maybe 4 or 5 become complete songs. Every single day, I just sit in my studio and I write something. So I'd say about 10 ideas a day.
So it is every day for you, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Every day. And I got a laptop too that I produce on, so it doesn't matter where I am. You know, sometimes there's a lot of artists that just hand off the business side of things to their managers or their agent or someone else of their team. But for me, I'm very concerned with understanding how to sell the product that I'm creating. And I think that's what's helped me like get the streams and sales on Spotify and iTunes. I'm not only creating this song, but I'm creating a good way to like deliver it to the fans, whether it be social media or whether it be the content in the song, how I can like relate to them with the message that I'm singing. So for me, business is half of it for sure. I'm figuring out how to promote myself, figuring out how to sell myself. And, you know, without that, I don't think I could be successful or financially stable. So tour life hasn't actually been like a substantial part of my brand as an artist. I've been doing a lot of one-off shows in college markets and select markets where I'm popular across the U.S. But I definitely do view touring as a like huge part of success, especially as a DJ or like dance music producer. And I haven't really built this touring persona around my brand yet. I've struggled with that. I've really struggled with that because social media hasn't always been my forte, and I feel like that's a huge part of selling tickets at live shows, because you need to create something tangible that the fans can like relate to, and that's what touring is too. Like you're creating the show that someone wants to spend $20 to come see in person. It's not Spotify, it's not Apple Music, it's something that's like real. So I've struggled with that. I haven't really toured. I've just done these one-off shows, which I guess some people would consider touring, but in my eyes, I'm not touring until I'm doing that 3-month bus tour where I hate my life, so.
Yeah. Look at those lights though. It's that a ways.
Which way?
That way.
So a huge part of success would just be, you know, creating that foundation for future generations and future people to be inspired by.
Hey, what's good?
Make some fucking noise for Christmas, everybody!
Being able to live, I guess, is kind of objective, because, you know, I feel like at some point I might just be happy if I had like a couch to sleep on, you know, and a roof over my head. My next big step is creating this valuable persona that people want to buy tickets to go see. It's all about just creating so much value around my brands and my music, and taking everything that these fans love from Spotify and love from just like listening to my music in general, and turning it into a live experience that people are dying to see. So that's what I'm working on. I'm going full steam ahead, just, you know, trying to get this big tour together in the next 12 months.
Thank you guys so much. You've been all